Hi, my name's Joshua Grams, and this is TinyQBN, my quality-based narrative library for Twine 2 and SugarCube. So, if we go to Twine and create a new story, give it a name, then it will open. If you go to this bottom left menu, pick Change Story Format, and make sure it's set to SugarCube. If you've just installed Twine, it will probably be set to Harlow 3, and we need it to be SugarCube. Alright, so now TinyQBN has 3 pieces of code that we need to install here. So if we go to the GitHub repository, we're going to go to the story JavaScript. I'm going to grab the minified version, but you can grab the readable one if you want. It doesn't matter. If we click on raw, it makes it a little easier to select. We can just Control-A to select all and copy it. Now let's back up here. And so now we go to Twine. We edit the story JavaScript from the menu on the bottom left. Whoops, I didn't mean to close that. And we paste this in. Back to GitHub. Come on, back up. Why are we not backing up? Okay, go to the code. Thank you. Okay, then we also need the story style sheet. Same thing, hit raw, select all. And we're going to back up here. And this goes from the bottom left menu. We have the story style sheet. We'll paste that in there. And finally, we need the widgets.txt. Grab all of that. Okay, now this actually goes in a passage. We're going to paste that in there. We give it a widget tag so that SugarCube knows, whoops, I have to hit enter, huh? So that SugarCube knows that it has to load it every time you run the thing, because this is defining little functions that we're going to use everywhere. And then you can give it a name if you want, so you can tell which passage it is. Alright. And I also like to have snap to grid on because I'm, picky like that. I like to have things organized. Alright, so now I think we're ready to start building a basic demo as a little setting where you can drive around and see what local seasonal food is available. So we'll start with some locations that you can drive between, and the starting passage will be your home. So we're going to give it a headline. Will you stop closing that? I must be hitting the mouse. Alright, so exclamation mark home is a level 1 heading, and we'll also add a link drive which goes to a patch that's called car, and we will give it a name home. Alright, now to make it a card that the QBN engine can find, you tag it with card or sticky card. Card is for single-use passages which will be discarded after they're visited, but this is a physical location and we want to be able to visit it many times, so we're going to make it a sticky-card. Alright, right now this card has no requirements, no restrictions on when it's available, so it will show up every time we select cards and there'll be no way to exclude it. So let's add some requirements about when we can draw this card from the deck. I missed. So requirements are tags that start with REQ- for requirement. And we're gonna add a tag rec driving to say that you can only get here if you're driving. Okay, so this requirement will be satisfied if there's a non-empty story variable $driving or a temporary variable _driving. It doesn't differentiate, mostly because tags can't contain $signs or spaces or punctuation really, other than hyphens and underscores. So now we're going to go to the car passage, and let's slide this over to the left. And in this passage we're going to start by making some story state. So we're going to set a temporary variable set _driving to true. So that's going to be our story state, and then we're going to put a backslash at the end so it doesn't make a new line. New line, we're going to say card row, and then in backticks we're going to say qbn.cards with parentheses. This is a function call. This is a JavaScript function call, and then we're going to tell it by default card row will include the contents of the card. So we're going to quote link box, which will link to the card by name instead of including its contents. And then now, if we had another selection in the car, say we were showing a list of radio stations or something, then we left driving set to true, then all the driving locations would show up there as well. So we're going to be careful, and we're going to unset _driving once we're done with it. And I want to put backslashes at the end of both of those so that they're... Alright, and then what else? So QBN cards will select all the cards that match the current story state, which is basically at this point is just the driving variable that we just set. And the link box, as I said, will change that. So, blah de blah de blah. If we, at this point, I think if we go and we play the game, we'll see home and we drive, and there's home in a box. So you can drive home even though we're already there, but we'll fix that later. So let's add some other locations. And the easy way to add these in Twine is just to make links, because that way the title's preset for you, and then we'll just delete the links when we're done. So some small farmers like to give their farms cutesy names, so how about Fairweather Farm? This is probably a farm that sells organic vegetables and eggs from happy hens and that sort of thing. And then another farm, maybe with the surname of the owners, Anderson Farm. This is probably a more conventional third-generation animal farm that produces beef and pork and some dairy products. And maybe this town is on the ocean, so you can drive to the docks early in the morning and buy fresh fish from the boats which are coming in. So we're going to escape out of here to let that populate those links, and then we're going to go back here and we're just going to get rid of all this links that we don't need. Alright, and then let's get these into a little more order here instead of just stuck all next to each other. Alright, so we're going to set these up pretty much the same way as we did with the home. So we're going to say exclamation Fairweather Farm, and we're going to link drive, which goes to the car passage. Great, and we are going to tag these sticky card and rec driving. Alright, let's do the other two. Exclamation mark Anderson Farm, drive to car, tag sticky card, tag rec driving. Alright, and finally the docks. Whoops, closed it again. Docks, headline, drive to car. Why do I keep doing those? Alright, and then we're going to tag sticky card and rec driving. Alright, so now if we go play just to check, if we drive, we should see all of them. Docks, we can drive. Now if you notice, these don't always show up in the same order, they're just in a random order, which is often fine. Oh wait, they look like they're showing up. No, home, Anderson Farm, docks, Fairweather. Anderson, yeah, okay. That might be fine for story cards that you're probably only going to see once, but with these, their locations, we're going to be seeing them a bunch of times. So let's go to the car and sort them. So after the parentheses of QBN cars, just inside the backtick, we're going to say dot sort, and then inside there we're going to put QBN dot alphabetically. Alright, and that should sort them in alphabetical order. Now, it's a little silly to drive to the place where you already are, so let's rule out driving to your current location. We'll start with home. So open the passage and add another tag. We're going to say, so we want to drive here if we're not already here. So we're going to say rec location NE not equal home. So this will only be satisfied if there's a variable dollars location or underscore location with the string home. So let's go set dollars location to quote home quote, and I'll put a backslash after that. Alright, and let's check that. So if we drive, we see only the other ones, and we see that they're in alphabetical order now. Fairweather, if we drive from there, we haven't fixed this one. Oh, we can't get home. Oh, because we're not setting the location. Right, okay. So now we're going to do that to the other two. So that was a story variable, so we set it and we never change it, so it's always going to be home. So let's go, so when we go to a different location, set dollars location to Fairweather. And since we can't have spaces in our conditions, we're just going to abbreviate this to just be Fairweather instead of Fairweather Farm. Rec location not equal Fairweather. And Anderson, we're going to set dollars location to quote Anderson. Whoops, didn't mean to close that yet. And tag it with rec location any Anderson. And finally the docs. Set $location to quote docs. And tag that with rec location any docs. Alright, so now, and then in the car, let's actually add another link. Let's say, so this is a macro, so less than return is a built-in SugarCube macro that makes a link to the passage that you were previously at. And by default, its text is just return, capitalized, but let's make it say exit car. Alright, so now if we play it, we're at home, we drive, we can exit car, takes us back home. We can go to the docks, we drive, we see Anderson Farm Fair with a farm and home, but no docks, etc. Drive. So that all seems to work. So that's the end of this section, and we'll continue in part 2.